Honourable Member Port Moody Coquitlam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I raise my hands to the member from Edmonton Strathcona, and I thank her for all of her advocacy on protecting women and girls across the world and in Canada and in this House. We have seen an alarming rollback of women's rights around the world. In my community of Port Moody Coquitlam, it came right home to our families with the killing of Mahsa Amini. It was unbearable for thousands of Iranian Canadian women in my community who know firsthand the cruel Iranian regime that limited their freedoms and forced them to leave their homeland for safety. These women carry the deepest sorrow, yet their resolve continues. Their brave voices of resistance continue in Vancouver almost weekly. And while the world sits by doing nothing for them, we saw again recently Ahu Dareh was punished for standing proud in her underwear on a campus in Iran to protest mistreatment of women. She was labeled as sick and taken to a psychiatric ward. Her rights and dignity stripped because she is a woman. Just as women have been stripped of their dignity for centuries, all rooted in misogyny. And in Palestine, disproportionately women and children are being killed to carry out a genocide. Palestinians are being treated as if their lives don't matter, and women and children have no defense. The world is failing them. Canada is failing them. And in Afghanistan, women are not allowed to speak in public. They've been erased from public life. And there are more countries where women cannot receive the most basic of their human rights. The list is long. One of those countries we never could have imagined is the United States. I never would have thought that in 2024 women would lose their right to basic health care just because of their sex. But it's happening. As women in the United States face increasing restrictions on their reproductive rights, including access to safe and legal abortions, Canada has an obligation to step forward as an ally to women and advocate for women and diverse genders. No one would have predicted when this study was taking place and finalized that we would have such discrimination happening so close to us just south of the border. And it is important for Canada to be prepared and do their part to save lives. One of the most tangible ways Canada can help is by making it possible for U.S. women to access abortion services in Canada. This could include expanding the availability of abortion services, particularly in border communities, ensuring that Canadian healthcare facilities can accommodate patients traveling from the U.S. The federal government could work with NGOs that could offer logistical assistance, travel coordination, and financial aid to U.S. women and girls, and I said girls, Madam Speaker, seeking care in Canada. An absolute must is for Canada to leverage its position on the global stage to advocate for reproductive rights as human rights. Through international forums like the United Nations, Canada must work to pressure the U.S. to respect and protect these rights. And these are the important conversations that the Prime Minister should also be having with the incoming President. Because the incoming President has bragged about overturning Roe versus Wade, even though it has proven to be dangerous to women and newborns. Maternal deaths have tripled in the states with an abortion ban, and infant mortality is up 7% in the United States. Over 700 more newborns have died since the Supreme Court overturned this life-saving legislation. The NDP stand up to say no to the attack on women's bodies, and we say it cannot make its way north to Canada.
Bravo. Bravo.
All of us must stand on guard because a Conservative federal government would threaten a woman's access to safe and trauma-informed abortion.
Shame.
And we know the Liberals won't stop them. The Liberals are already failing Canadians by letting Conservative premiers cut access to abortions. Under Conservative leadership, there have been relentless attempts to restrict reproductive rights, including Conservatives in this House right now, private members' bills targeting abortion access.
Shame.
And the Conservative leader has already used coded language to embolden anti-choice extremists while claiming to avoid the debate. Conservatives have shown they cannot be trusted to defend a woman's right to choose, nor can they be trusted to move toward more.
Member for Calgary Centre.
Conservatives have shown they cannot be trusted to defend a woman's right to choose, nor can they be trusted to move forward toward more equity in health care for women and diverse genders. We saw this very recently when they voted against the NDP pharmacare bill that included access to contraceptives free.
Shame.
New Democrats will fight every day against regressive Conservatives and their hidden agenda to restrict women's access to life-saving health care. Now back to the report on what Canada needs to continue to do to protect sexual and reproductive rights across the globe. Canada needs to speak out clearly and consistently in global forums and bilateral discussions on sexual and reproductive rights for women. They must release the long-promised feminist foreign policy that my colleague, the member from Edmonton, Strathcona, referenced. Having a clear and written document is important because, as she referenced, it sets out feminist policy guidelines, not just for international development, but for trade, immigration, diplomacy, and consulate affairs work. Canada can be a leader, a beacon of hope at a time when there is pushback on gender equality and women and diverse genders and girls' rights. If the government does the work now to protect women's rights, more Canadian women and women across the globe will be safer. Multiple witnesses in the study stressed to the committee that legal restrictions on abortion do not stop abortions from happening. Instead, these restrictions increase the proportion of abortions that are unsafe. Julia Anderson, one of the witnesses in the committee, stated the following: "The evidence is unanimous and clear that the restriction of abortion does not stop abortion. It only increases unsafe abortion and it loses women's lives." So why isn't Canada investing in abortion access here at home and abroad? The reality is, despite what is known about the consequences of unsafe abortion, Canada only allocated less than $2 million in support of safe abortion services. And Kelly Bowden, a witness in the study, noted that while the Government of Canada is naming access to safe abortions as part of a comprehensive package of care, they are not putting the money in that area just yet. I'll close out today by highlighting recommendation number 9 from the report that recommends Canada scale up its assistance for sexual and reproductive health and rights globally. The Government of Canada ensure it fully support access to modern forms of contraception, safe and legal abortion services, and post-abortion care. They must do this here, at home, just south of the border, and across the globe.
Bravo!